One of the things about great bands is that there's always a folklore, a story, a myth around the singer.
Judge was a very important band. Judge was a controversial band.
I was lucky enough to see Judge 3 times. From the beginning, it was just super intense, and it got better every time.
I was like a super fan of straight edge hardcore. It's ironic, but music, specifically hardcore, saved my life a couple of times.
The thing about Mike, before I actually met him, he was already mythical. Kind of taciturn, serious guy.
Kids took his lyrics maybe just too far, and people sort of associated Judge with violence.
Kids have all this kind of like, wrong expectations about, first of all, what he's about, how violent he is.
He became this character where people made him something that he wasn't.
Yeah, they just pictured this guy with like a baseball bat. If you crossed his path with like a joint or a beer, he's gonna like, beat you. Yeah, it just blew up into this whole thing.
And then we broke up, and I don't know exactly why we broke up.
Mike just disappeared.
That's what was so mysterious. Like, he just completely vanished into thin air. Next thing you know, Judge just didn't exist anymore.
People were just like, whatever happened to that guy? And we love Judge, and you hear all these rumors. He's in the Hells Angels, he's running guns.
He's just like a biker dude now.
How can you walk away from something that was so cool? It was such a great band. It was like here, then gone. I think it was a real head-scratching thing for myself and friends that were like, oh, we love Judge.
Well, I was just born and raised like a knockaround guy. I've always been like a kind of like a fucked up little kid. My mother died when I was like 11 or 12. She destroyed her heart with pills. Father was, like this hard-working guy, He was just a hard man. Fucking drank hard at night, She died on a Saturday. It was a massive heart attack that killed her. And we're like sitting in fucking silence and shit. And I know something's up, and he just goes, listen, I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't want you to cry. And I was like, what? He's like, your mom's dead. Your mom died. Now don't fucking cry about it. So I was like, all right. And I didn't fucking cry about it. And then that was that. I fucking grew up with not much, tenderness and like room for, sappiness and shit. You get fucking hurt, suck it up, don't be a wimp, don't be a pussy. And it made me like this introvert who couldn't like socialize really, really good with people. And the first thing I remember like actually like enjoying was like listening to the radio. Eventually, moving on to like my brother's record collection. Going through that record collection, like I would listen to every record, And it wasn't like I'm gonna listen to this song, oh, now I wanna hear something else. I would just put on that record and listen to that record. And I would study the fucking gatefold, and I would read all the names of the players and shit. I used to listen to it all and just make pretend. Eventually I just started making pretend I was in the band, Then one day I fucking going through the record collection, I fucking grabbed the David Bowie Ziggy Stardust record. I don't know if you're familiar with Ziggy Stardust and shit, like, the song's about a band, and like in my little mind, I was like, now I'm Ziggy Stardust. I'm that guitar player. He's fucking, you know, with the golden hands and shit, you know. Constantly, like from the time I walked through the door after school till the time my father came home and made me go to sleep, I was playing concerts in my room on air guitar, you know? So basically I was like, I don't need fucking anybody, you know? I got this fucking world, I don't need anybody else. I get to high school and it's like a torture chamber in there, you know? Like, I just don't fit in. Like, I didn't know how to like hang out with people and I didn't know how to talk with people. So I was an easy target, and every once in a while I see like this dude, he's got like, you know, like this weird fucking haircut, you know, he's like wearing a leather jacket or something. Had no idea what they were about. I just know that there's not many of them and these people are like making fun of him. But he doesn't even give a fuck, you know? And I used to think that was so cool because I was like, these guys do that to me and it scares the shit out of me. And I was like, man, I wish I could be like that dude who, he just doesn't give a fuck. It's just everything bounces off him. And then I would see another guy like that and shit. And I fucking got the courage up to be like, hey dude, what are those guys, you know? He's like, oh, they're punk rockers. We listen to punk rock. And I was like, well, what the hell is punk rock? And he's like, why don't you come with us after school? My band is practicing. And I was like, I'm playing it cool, but inside I'm just like, holy shit, we can be in bands, you know, like this is great. Then that weekend, they take me to the first matinee. It's like Saturday matinees at CBGB's, right? We go and his fucking Agnostic Front is playing with the first singer, John Watson. And I was fucking blown away, man. I just walked away from it going, I'm never gonna miss another one of these. You know, I don't care. Well, I could be half dead, but I'm gonna make every matinee forever. Because I was such a loner, fucked up kid, you know, and then all of a sudden I find this group of loner, fucked up kids in New York, and now I don't feel so alone. That became my family. That whole scene, that whole city, it became my reason for like living, because I just wanted it to be, I gotta be alive so I can make it to the matinee on Saturday, you know?
Yeah. Anybody have tickets on this one? You got tickets? Step up, please. Ticket?
Yeah, boy! I wrote this next song a long time ago when I wasn't in a band. I wrote it about a family member who just couldn't get her shit together. And it all ended when she was too fucked up to protect her 6-year-old daughter from the friends she decided to party with. This song is called In My Way. That song, In My Way, was the song that I wrote that line about my cousin. Something had happened with my little niece because of her mother and dope. For right or wrong, I remember saying, for what she has done, I wish those drugs would just kill her before I get my hands on her. That's the line in the song. Those drugs are gonna kill you if I don't get to you first. That's like a fucking awful thing to think about anybody. And then I'm thinking about it and it's my own blood. You know, I'm hoping that what that lyric is really written about, no one else has had to go through that. It's just the fucking truth of the matter is the pain behind it all is overwhelming. I just keep reminding myself, you know, just yell. yell and scream. As early as I can remember, there was booze everywhere in my house. My father was a big drinker. I can't even remember how old I was when I first snuck, a bottle of booze from my dad's cabinet. Hell, it was. I mean, the booze wasn't even in a cabinet. It was just lined up on a fucking table in the corner, And I started drinking at a very early age. It was just a normal thing. It gave me confidence and shit. I stuck with that. And then, I guess the most pivotal moment for me, I went into the city by myself, and it was a weeknight, like a Wednesday or Thursday night, at a show at CBGB's. When I got down to CB's, I walked across the street to the fucking bodega. I bought whatever bottle of booze I had enough money for, and proceeded to get fucking annihilated. And most of it is a blur, but I must have did something wrong, because I got the shit kicked out of me. I just remember kind of shaking my head, shaking the cobwebs off, coming to. I was on the floor in this little dark corner of fucking CB's, fucking fat lip, fucking screwed up fucking nose, fucking black eyes, fucking, knotted up head, bells going off in my fucking head, I'm fucked up. There was no straight edge, there was no straight edge scene. I didn't even know this, I haven't even heard Minor Threat yet, But I just knew that I was never gonna get fucking handled like that again. And first step in doing that was no drinking. No drinking, no drugs. And that was the beginning. Because of that ass kicking. I take the bus home and I'm walking down this fucking long road. As I was walking and I see this fucking car, this Camaro fucking, the telltale sign of this jock, asshole. Usually I fucking stare at the ground, try not to make eye contact, because I was afraid of these guys. They all seemed bigger than me. They all seemed meaner than me, just tough. But for some fucking reason, I just fucking look at this car, and I look right at him as he's coming by. And then it dawned on me that I wasn't afraid of this fucking guy anymore. Because 4 or 5 hours ago, I was getting the shit kicked out of me by this fucking 250-pound tattooed fucking maniac, He had a fucking mohawk and fucking leather jacket with fucking daggers and fucking spikes sticking out of it. All of a sudden, this fucking jock in a varsity jacket ain't so fucking scary now, They fucking get out of the car and they look at me and they're like, "What's up?" And I look at them like, you know what? They look a lot smaller today, I mean, that was it. The tide had turned, man. Everything changed after that. I was on such a different set of tracks by the time I wanted to start Judge. Things that happened earlier on in my life, I flipped a switch. I wasn't so much afraid of being heard, I wanted to cause a ruckus,
Stop, you won't be the thing you say. That's just not a move. We started today.